These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Saturday, September 2nd. This is the first time we've recorded in September of the year, and unfortunately, doesn't seem like it's going to be much more content-filled than August. So, in for another month.
Not yet. As you can see, I'm trying to spice it up. I've gone to the casual podcaster look of sitting in an armchair and holding the mic. Like we're just chopping it up.
One of these days, we got to record in person. We'll find a way. I don't know how it'll
probably
happen
when we go to Vegas.
Probably. Well, yeah, but even then, like, how are we going to record in person? Like, we don't have video cameras. We don't have the correct mic settings, so we won't pick each other up on each other's mics. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna have to figure that out.
Probably join twice on the same computer, or
I don't know.
We'll have to make like an overlay or something. We just sit in the same room.
We'll have to figure something out. I have this big. In the future, once we get big enough, we ask friend of the pod, Timmy G, say, hey, can we borrow the stage at Big Night Live, do a podcast for Big Night Live?
That's a 10-year away thing.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe if you guys get us to 10K subs on YouTube, we'll get there. But until then, we're happy. We're chilling for now. But
we'll get one of the smaller clubs.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. You know, we never know. Timmy G's a good friend. Maybe he'll homie us. He'll give us help us out. But we do have a little bit of Celtics news. Celtics have signed Svi Mykhailiuk. We did a video on this, so if you want to hear our in-depth thoughts and immediate reaction to the move, well, more in-depth than we're going to go on the podcast at least. We reacted live to the move. It happened while we were recording, so we gave our initial reactions. We watched some of Svi Mykhailiuk's highlights. He played for the Hornets this past year, has also spent time with the Pistons, the Lakers, the Knicks, the Raptors, and the Thunder. And yeah, the Celtics signed him to a 1-year contract. We don't necessarily know if it's a guaranteed deal, although I think most of the speculation is that it is a guaranteed deal only because he had the option to sign overseas. So it wouldn't make too much sense for him to take a non-guarantee here if he was truly going back and forth on whether or not to sign overseas or with the Celtics. But 6'7", 26-year-old wing. Can handle the ball a little bit. He's a great shooter. Shot 40% last year with the Hornets in 19 games. He's been known as a shooter throughout his career. Sam, quiz for you. Who is I believe the only other Ukrainian-born NBA player to play for the Celtics? Putting you on the spot here. No, was he Ukrainian? Maybe there's more than one.
I don't know if he was or not.
I don't think he was. No, he's Croatian.
I don't know who the other one is. I feel like I should know. Is this like something that you would have known?
I only know because of a recent trivia game show we were a part of.
It was the
yep.
What the hell was his name? It was like the other semi. No, I don't know.
Vitaly Potapenko, Ukrainian.
Great.
So there you go. No, but Svi Mykhailiuk signing with the Celtics in their 14th roster spot. They now have one spot left open on the roster, which from what we're hearing is probably still Blake Griffin. If you want to come back, you can have this roster spot. But it does seem like Svi Mykhailiuk was the wing of choice out of this Lamar Stevens, TJ Warren grouping. So it wouldn't surprise me if we don't see any of those guys signed because at this point, you don't really need another wing. But Svi Mykhailiuk, good 14th man. Really not much else to say past that. Go watch our video if you want to see highlights. Any thoughts, Sam?
He can shoot threes. So Joe Mazzulla will love that. The overlapping thought is just, wow, this is far less exciting when I remember they have Sam Hauser and also Jordan Walsh. I think Jordan Walsh truly is the most exciting guy going into the season because, but like in terms of just being, yes, they have O'Shea Brissett, but like in terms of excitement and probably the window he has for success or ceiling and floor, I should say. His is the longest range. He could truly be a key rotation player for the Celtics, but then also just sit there and watch games like one of the Thanasis.
Yeah. Or Alex, who also signed with the Bucks and then got released.
They waived him.
No, that wasn't a real thing. They signed him and waived him so he could play for their G League team. It's the same thing the Celtics did with Luke Cornett a couple years ago. But of course, no one's going to report that part. It's just they signed him.
No, I saw that part. But
no, I know.
Waived him.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, everyone's treating it as if the plan all along wasn't to waive him. They're just treating like, oh, he sucks. Like
they did it on accident. It's like in 2K,
right?
If you accidentally sign somebody, you just immediately release them.
Anyways, just updating on the Svi Mykhailiuk news. Again, we did a video on it on our YouTube channel. Go subscribe to How About Them Celtics and check it out. But the next thing we have is a tidbit from Brian Robb of Mass Live, who did a mailbag recently and talked about the Malcolm Brogdon situation. Basically, somebody asked Brian Robb, excuse me, what's the deal with Malcolm Brogdon? Like, do you think he'll get traded halfway through the season?
Which has
What's
been a real
happening?
topic as of
Yeah,
late in the Celtics
exactly.
blog chat in particular.
The exact question was, it feels like the Brogdon situation has been quiet all summer. Do you have a sense where he's at health wise and or his relationship with the team? That was a question sent in to Brian Robb. Brian Robb's response to that was, this will be a fascinating subplot throughout training camp. The team is insistent publicly and privately that Brogdon will be healthy enough for camp. Joe Mazzulla signaled that rebuilding the relationship with Brogdon is a work in progress after the failed trade to the Clippers, but that's an understandable situation given how little time has passed. Getting back on the court should help heal some of those wounds once the season begins, but there is certainly a tough spot for Brogdon 1 year after he chose to go to Boston. He's set for another big role this season off the bench, but it might be a little tougher for him to sacrifice so willingly, knowing the team was close to moving him, I should say, which, again, all stuff we've talked about. It's just, again, it's going to be something interesting to monitor this summer.
I just think the whole Brogdon thing is a mess at this point. The more and more we hear about it, of course, this isn't a report. It was a prompted answer to a question. But it's been lingering all summer. Ever since this Clippers trade fell through, we've been going back and forth. Writers have been writing about it. Is he going to be upset with the Celtics? I mean, again, the Celtics blog chat, literally people are saying he might get traded halfway through the season, just out of gut feeling, no reporting. Like, this is not, nobody has sources that's saying that, at least. But going from the sixth man of the year to nearly being traded, less than ideal. The way they went out of the playoffs, the way he wasn't able to contribute late has done more to further the narrative like maybe he doesn't fit. Because it's starting to come up more and more. People are remembering that more than anything else. Let's not pretend he was excellent all playoffs either. He had moments where he was okay, moments where he was good, and moments where he was bad. Felt like there was more bad. I know that's your take too. But there was that Celtics blog post about in the defense of Malcolm Brogdon. So, I know that one must have hurt to see. He must have been like, I can't believe he wrote this.
No, Brogdon's a good player. I was less critical of Brogdon and more critical of the way the Celtics used him. I think at least that's how I think I should have portrayed my frustrations with Brogdon. Because again, last season, the whole thing with the Celtics after the Warriors series when they lost in the finals was they need more playmaking, and they brought in Brogdon, and then they didn't use him as a playmaker, which didn't make any sense to me. And then that's continued into the playoffs when they probably needed a bit more playmaking again instead of shot creation and 3-point shooting. And I think he was a good 3-point shooter in the regular season. He lost that touch a bit in the playoffs, but then the playmaking just wasn't there. He was a turnover prone machine who only had eyes for the hoop and couldn't find big men on lobs, specifically Rob. And so it was frustrating to watch. I'm not saying he was zero impact, but just felt like the impact that a lot of people expected from him when the trade came through last summer didn't live up to expectations. At least it didn't live up to my expectations, specifically in the playoffs. Obviously, he had a great regular season. He won sixth man of the year.
Correct.
No complaints for him in that aspect. But when the playoffs came around, it just felt like the value of Brogdon kind of dipped. And a big part of that was how they used him.
How they used him, health. The use is just a messy thing. Because you can argue that it did not work, but you can also argue that it did work. Because he shot the three so well, just having him look to score, whether that's catch and shoot or drive, he was able to fill the role. He did it throughout the regular season where he won sixth man of the year. But in the playoffs, it just didn't work. His percentage dipped. He had the forearm injury, and he wasn't effective enough to really stay on the floor. The whole tide turner of Game 7 was when he went out there injured. I'm just bewildered how this whole narrative relationship has taken a turn. Literally, let's see, what is it, September, 4 months ago? Nobody would have thought this. Nobody would have questioned if he's on the team next year. Maybe. I guess maybe. You could be like, they have so many guards. What are they going to do with them? But it didn't feel like an issue.
I think it wasn't an issue, no, but I feel like when the offseason started, a lot of people were like, all right, could Brogdon get traded here? Like, I think that was a hot topic of conversation, at least.
Right, but I mean before the playoffs.
Oh, sorry, yes. I thought you were talking about when like after the playoffs. My bad. Yeah, no, I know what you
No,
mean.
yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like the playoffs were such a divisive thing this year. Caused Smart's exit. Now
Mhm.
Brogdon's up in the air. The Jalen extension no longer looked good. Everybody was all up in arms, wanted him
Well,
to make All NBA so bad, and then the playoffs happened, and everyone's like, split. Should they pay him? Should they not pay him? Oh my God, they paid him too much. Bleacher Report's putting out worst contract articles where he's getting traded. I mean, it's all there. It's so different. Had they just met expectations in the playoffs, none of this happens, which is an obvious take. Of course, like if you win, Smart doesn't get traded. There's no need
yeah,
to go out
that's what
and
I was
get
gonna say.
Porzingis. But it's done more than just Smart. It's like what are they doing with Brogdon now?
Yeah, and it's not great. It's not what you want to see coming out of
The value's
th-
not
th-
there either.
yeah, what I was trying to say, like Brian Robb thinking these things, like Brian Robb is a pretty connected guy, and like if he's saying, yeah, there's still, it's going to be an interesting thing to watch. It's probably going to be a pretty interesting thing to watch. And the next logical line of thinking there is, so what if things don't work out? Like, what if Brogdon doesn't want to be here? What if he gets upset? What if there's behind the scenes problems? And then past that, it's okay. You trade him, right? You have to trade him at that point, and you have to get something back. And then past that, you probably need another guard in that case, because as much as I sat here saying, Pritchard's ready for a bigger role, I wrote about it earlier summer, and I do believe that having a guard room of just Derrick White and Peyton Pritchard, probably not the ideal, probably not what you want. And they've already addressed the backup wing problem for the most part. Like we just talked about, Jordan
They've done
Walsh is
their
there.
absolute best. They only brought in
Exactly.
10. Jordan Walsh,
Exactly.
Brissett, Mykhailiuk, he's new.
Hmm. Hmm.
Delano Banton, you could say, is a wing.
Hmm. And you don't necessarily need another. You could use another big, but that shouldn't
Well,
be
that's
the
been your
highlight.
favorite.
I know, but you shouldn't, like, the highlight of a Brogdon package shouldn't be a big, because you don't need that much extra talent at the big man position, right? You need
True.
a fourth string. And so you look across the league, and I did this in the last 2 seconds, so excuse me if I forget people, but some like names you could think of okay, maybe this team could want Brogdon to give up somebody like Spencer Dinwiddie back because he's in the last year of his deal if they just want to swap them. And like you could do a Brogdon, Pritchard, and something for Dinwiddie and one of those wings like O'Neal or Dorian Finney-Smith, but then you're left with just two guards anyways. So that's iffy. You look at the Magic. I know you love Markelle Fultz. Maybe they don't want to pay him. They would
Be
rather just
fun.
get a veteran. Markelle Fultz could be cool.
I feel like he's been solid, but I also
He
feel
has
like
been.
he's solid at a lot of the same things that Derrick White is good at, which
It's
could make
true.
him a good backup. But
Hmm.
I don't know how effective he's going to be in a coming off the bench to give you a spark role. He's like the fifth or fourth option in the starting lineup scoring role. He's able to be long, play defense, and somewhat create for other people. But
Hmm.
as a bench guy, I don't really see it working out. You don't really see a ton of guys like that coming off the bench being monstrous. It doesn't happen.
Agreed. Not that the Celtics would want to make a trade with the Lakers, but they do have pieces you could see both teams wanting in a swap, i.e., Gabe Vincent or some of those wings or something like that. Like you could understand why it would make sense. The Bulls, I know they've been hesitant to trade Alex Caruso, but if you could get like a Caruso and another depth piece for Brogdon, that'd be fine. Or there was another team that I had on my radar that I can't think of at the moment. The Timberwolves, so Mike Conley, if they want to swap that out, maybe that's okay for like a year. But there's really just not much you can look at and say, okay, yeah, sign me up for that Brogdon trade anymore, because he's 6 man of the year. He's one of the best bench players in the NBA. So trading him for something else, especially for another guard, it would be hard. Tyus Jones is the other one I was thinking of because we talked about him last time. And at that point, it would make a little sense if Brogdon has to leave. But there's really no easy, trade Brogdon for that guy trade out there. Like, and then DeAnthony Melton, like the Sixers trade we talked about.
Melton's a good
But
player. Melton is maybe my favorite player you said. Not so much because he's going to be able to do the things that Brogdon does well, which I do believe are important. Just for a baseline, when either Tatum or Brown is out of the game, they need to have a secondary creator out there. That really was never Marcus. That's not really what he was. You have Porzingis now, so I guess you have a different kind of creation if you want to give it to him on the low block. But even then, that's not
yep.
going to create a ton of gravity for other players. It's not going to create open looks as much as somebody like Brogdon, who, even though he wasn't great at finishing last year, could get to the hole. So that was a good thing he was doing. But
Yeah.
Melton, He was a motherfucker in that playoff series. He was playing good defense. He had some good steals. He was making threes at a high clip against the Celtics. If he was on the Celtics, people would love him.
Yeah, he shot 39% from three last year. He was a good player, and there are pathways to do something like that. Like you could do it with Anthony Melton and Paul Reed if you did want to fill up the extra big man on the roster. Like that is somebody you could look at.
What is that? 10 million plus annually for a fourth stringer?
No, it got blown out of proportion. It's 7.7 mil
Okay,
this
not
year.
bad.
I'm just checking. I just want to get it down. 7.7 mil this year, and then it's non-guaranteed the next 2 years for 7.7 and 8.1, which still isn't too bad. But the non-guarantees are the things the Jazz put in there to screw the 76ers, where it's guaranteed if they make the conference, if they make the playoffs or something like that, just to screw Philly, and help them. But anyways, there's not much out there. The best option still is keep Brogdon, fix the relationship. But if something does happen, there are like break glass in case of emergency trades you could probably pull off. But again, it sounds like they're still working on mending the relationship, and it sounds like the Celtics are confident that they'll fix it. So that's
episode title: Malcolm Brogdon trade buzz, and whatever other thing we talk about.
Malcolm Brogdon will be in the title. You bet your ass. But next thing we have is catching up with the former Celtic. We talked about Rondo's appearance on the JJ Redick pod last week in the context of him talking about Brad Stevens and the coaching stuff. Another quote that came out of that we didn't get the chance to talk about is Rondo talking about Kevin Garnett. Basically, I think he said KG was his favorite teammate of all time, something along those lines. He said
on surprising.
The court. Mm-hmm. On the court as a teammate, Garnett's by far my favorite. He's so unselfish. I remember Doc made a comment. He was talking about how Garnett's the most unselfish player in the team. He's talking about how if anybody hits the floor, Kevin was the first to run to pick them up from all the way across the floor. Kevin was the first to sacrifice his body setting picks. He never complained about getting the ball. Paul and Ray would want the ball all the time. Every once in a while, KG gave me a look and said, bring that motherfucker down here. But other than that, he was always willing to sacrifice. He took less shots when he came to Boston. Obviously, he knew that coming in. But to see him go through it when he did have adversity, he never wavered as far as who he was as a player and a professional. I learned a lot from him, and he taught me a lot. So good high praise for Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people here have affection for KG. He only played 6 seasons with the Celtics, got his number retired. Probably the shortest tenure of anybody in the rafters. But being at the ceremony for his jersey retirement, he was floored by the amount of love he was getting from the fans. Like, it was actually like almost surprising to him how much the city embraced him in such a short period of time. And I think the things that Rondo was talking about is a big contributor to that. He was unselfish. He brought the intensity. People love that. And that is what it takes to make a team like that work. You really may see somebody on this team maybe have to do that this year if they're going to be successful. Is it Porzingis? I don't know. Tatum? Probably not. Brown? I can't really pinpoint who it's going to be that like people are going to be like, wow, what a sacrifice. Because Porzingis is just expected to take the backseat to these guys. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
If oddly enough, maybe Tatum has to score less, but this team just runs so much through him now where I don't think they can win like that.
Yeah, it feels like it would be tough for them to expect Tatum in the backseat, but even past that, I feel like Tatum almost shouldn't take the backseat because he's
that's what
good.
I mean. Like they can't win that way.
So, if I had to guess,
less Brown,
maybe a little bit, but I feel like also maybe less of the guards and the centers, right? Like maybe Al takes a couple fewer shots and he really focuses on defense, or Brogdon and White probably aren't going to score as much, or Brogdon specifically. It's going to be weird to see how the scoring shakes out. I feel like Tatum's scoring will naturally just come down a little bit because there are other options. Same with Brown. Weirdly enough, I feel like White will probably score a little bit more just because of how much you saw him last season, and he's going to be just playing more in general. And I feel like Brogdon probably won't score quite as much, but it's going to be weird to see how that shakes out. But regardless, again, Rondo talking about KG, the part where it's like Pearson Allen wanted the ball all the time. That's particularly entertaining to me. But anyways, next thing we have, we're going to draft the Celtics, and I completely and wholeheartedly stole this idea from The Athletic. Thank you, Jared Weiss and Jay King. I'm just yoinking it. So go check out. They did this as well, and we're going to steal it for the podcast because it's September. So give me a break. Basically, what they did, they drafted the Celtics into 2, right? Like they went back and forth, and the first pick was probably Jason Tatum. The second pick was probably Jaylen Brown. They went back and forth, and they built their teams, and they saw who was the best. I assume the only fair way to do it would be a snake draft. But
Probably, yeah.
we can go through. I figured it'd be a fun activity to shave a little time off. Pull up the 23-24 roster. And we're gonna go back and forth. Sam, do you want? I'll let you pick if you would like the first pick or would you would like the turn. All right, shocker. Sam wants the first. Okay, hit me, Sam. Who are you gonna pick?
Tatum first.
All right. Well, let me write this down so I can just keep track and then we can share our teams afterwards. So I get the 2-3. Ooh,
just because I'm not sure this is the clearest path for you.
Yeah, this makes my life a little harder. I'm gonna take Jaylen Brown, obviously at 2. I'm gonna take Derrick White at 3.
Yeah.
So then I'll let you get the next 2.
I'll get Porzingis.
Yep.
And at this point, I'll take Brogdon too.
Okay, good. In that case, I'm going to take Al Horford and Robert Williams.
Okay.
Double bigs. Give me the double bigs.
I will take Hauser.
Okay. Yep.
And Tatum can play the 4.
I
don't know if I'm missing something. I'm going to take Jordan Walsh.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, this is where it gets very subjective. Like there's there's no clear answer past here. I am going to take Peyton Pritchard. And then after that, it does get a bit tricky here. I'm
actually getting into this. I'm like, I really hope he doesn't pick this guy. I want to get him.
I'll take O'Shea Brissett.
Okay. Yeah. My guy I did not want you to pick was probably a reach, but Luke Cornett. I think he's a good backup, serviceable, proved to be a good backup last year.
I just didn't need another big.
Yeah, Porzingis and Jason Tatum. And I still have one more pick. Let me flip through my head and see if I can't remember the guys that are all on the team.
I have basketball.
I'm also going to pick Svi Mykhailiuk.
Okay.
Why not? Just give me all the shooting.
Sure. Yeah, why not? Not much left here. I will go Delano Banton because that's what's left. And then, excuse me. And then I will go. I think it's just the 2-way guys left. I'll go JD Davison. Yeah.
Okay. I'll take
Scrub.
J Scrub.
And then I think
you should have made me sit there in agony and try to remember who the last guy was.
That does not include DJ Stewart, but he's just on a training camp deal, so we're not gonna include him. And so let me pull up our drafts here. I'm just making sure we didn't forget anybody like idiots. We did not.
You had the roster up. If we forgot somebody, that's
I know, but I know. I was looking at the roster to make sure we didn't forget anybody that way. Let me pull this up here, so it's fully on the screen. Here we go. Here is what Sam and I ended up with. We can discuss between ourselves a little bit. Can I put them next? There's no easy way to put them next to each other on Google Docs. So if you're watching on something, zoom in a little bit. I'll put it that way. Here are the 2 teams. There's no easy way. Full screen it, zoom in, take a look. Sam ended up what would your starting lineup be? Because it
would be Brogdon, Sam Hauser, Walsh, Tatum, Porzingis.
Okay.
And then you have the rest off the bench.
That was
the sense I was trying to do that in. I wanted to have a good lineup. I feel like my team could get a 5 or 6 seed if they had to.
Okay. I'm rolling out my starting lineup. It would probably be Peyton Pritchard, Derrick White, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Robert Williams, which is fine. I mean, yours is probably better just because of Tatum, and that's probably why you wanted the first pick. I think my starting lineup's better because it's more well-rounded. But I don't know. Chat, let us know.
I thought I was like, well, see if I have the second and third pick, Jackson to get Jason Tatum and Derrick White. But I made you pick. I made you choose and make it so Porzingis fell to 4.
Yeah, my thing was
because I thought you might take Derrick White.
The reason I took Derrick White, because if I didn't take Derrick White and I took Porzingis, you probably would have taken. I mean, you probably would have left me one of Brogdon or Derrick White, but I just wanted to have the best guard next to Jaylen Brown because I feel like that's what he needs to be at his best.
It's true.
Yeah,
fair point.
Building a roster, I'd rather have Jaylen Brown with the guard than a big. And then since you took Brogdon and I knew you'd take Porzingis, that just left me the double bigs, which I thought was the best. I don't know. Let us know what you think. Who's the better? Probably Tatum, but I think Tatum or
Who won?
I think Sam has a better top end talent, and I might have the better well-rounded talent. But we'll see. We'll see what the chat thinks. Anyways, again, thanks to the Athletic. Completely yoinked that. Sorry, not sorry. All right. Next thing I do have is a Twitter message that I got from Matt Henderson, who is a longtime viewer, of the podcast listener. Thank you to Matt. And he messaged me. I'll read the message here. He said, still enjoy the NBA August, September vids, even though there's no news. Thank you. We're trying our best. This would be a good segment in grading the Celtics roster without stats, with any/all the players. Example, who's better in each category for Hauser or Svi. Basically, he said, we all know what the stats are. We all can watch stuff, but some things don't show up in the stat sheet. So he gave me 11 categories so we can 1v1 rank certain players on the roster. He gave the example of Hauser versus Svi because that was the hot news. We could do Tatum Brown. We could do, Brogdon White. We could do, the bigs to see who would start. But he gave me these 11 categories for us to go back and forth. And basically there are 11. So if it's 6-5, that one player wins and blah, blah, blah. But he gave us shot creating, moving without the ball, passing/teamwork, dribbling, leadership, locker room, defensive tenacity, hustle, competitiveness, toughness, basketball IQ, basically to go back and forth and rank in a head-to-head certain players on the roster. So I wanted to ask you, what players do you think would be the best fit for this sort of exercise? Is it seeing who do we think will be the backup wing off the bench for the Celtics? Is it who do we think will start next to Porzingis? Is it who do we think gets the most bench minutes? What do you think would be the best exercise to start off with? Because if we like it and people like it, we could do it more than once. But like, what two players do you think deserve to be put head to head most? The most obvious generic answer would be, do the Jays. But
let's do Malcolm Brogdon and Derrick White.
All right,
I think that's an interesting one. And viewers, if you see me looking at my phone like this, it's because I have the show sheet on the phone today.
Yeah, Sam's not home.
I have my second screen. I'm not ignoring Jack.
No, just let's play Sam is ignoring Jack so people can give me sympathy. All right, Malcolm Brogdon or Derrick White. Shot creating. Now,
this is a hard one. We're already starting off with just a juggernaut question. Category.
Are we interpreting this as shot creating for themselves or others?
Literally just as a whole, both.
Okay, then I have my answer.
Go ahead.
I think I didn't know if we were both I think it's Derrick White. I think Derrick White's a better shot creator in general. I think Brogdon,
it might be Brogdon. I think Brogdon does a great job of getting the cup. The problem is, to your point, he doesn't like to hit the roll man. But the shots are still created. They're just more for him. But this year you might see that shot creation become a bit better.
Possibly. I think if I had to choose one person to get me a bucket, I think it's closer than people realize. I think Brogdon has the better what's the word? He did a better job at it throughout the course of the season. Well, no, actually. I think Derrick White has the better bag. But I think Malcolm Brogdon has more examples of it because he did it for longer. But look at the playoffs. Derrick White was like the second leading scorer. In the regular season, but in the playoffs it was Derrick White and it wasn't close. Like, look at all the scoring.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just clarifying.
No, I know. I'm giving my I'm not getting upset. I'm giving my argument. I'm explaining because I couldn't think of the word for it. I think Brogdon did a better job of overall scoring in the regular season because he averaged more points. But when it came down to it, Derrick White had those 20-point games against Atlanta. He was the best player at times in that Heat series. And I won't fight you on this, so I'll give you Brogdon in case there's another one I want to fight you on because it's so close. Okay. But I do think. Yeah,
who do you think can get you a bucket though? Because I don't think you actually never.
Derrick White. I'd go with Derrick White to get me a bucket.
I think Derrick White has better old reliables. I think when you have Derrick White, if he's able to get to a floater it's going to go in. That's his move.
Yeah.
That's it. That's his shot. All reliable for Derrick White, I think, is perhaps the most dependable thing on the Celtics, maybe. I don't know if there's anybody I trust more with a shot of
Jaylen Brown
choice.
Midi.
Maybe.
Jaylen Brown
Yeah, that
Midi's up there.
60% is a pretty cool number.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll roll with Brogdon.
I'll roll Brogdon, but it's close. Moving without the ball. Another tough one.
I feel like that's Derrick White. I feel like Derrick White's a really
lean
great
Derrick
cutter.
White. That's what I was gonna say. I think both are pretty good moving along the 3-point line. I feel like a lot of Brogdon's threes are he stands there, lets other people create it. Whereas Derrick White, he gets a lot of his threes that way as well, especially in the corner, but he also adds the cutting aspect. So I would probably lean Derrick White. Again, it's another close
1-1.
Passing / teamwork is the next category.
Okay.
I think here's my thing. I think Brogdon is a better passer. I think Derrick White was the better passer last year. Does that make sense?
No, I agree with you. I was going to say Derrick White. I giggled because I knew how this one was going to go.
Yeah.
Brogdon hates throwing the lobs. If you really just want to get into it, the teamwork thing here, that's the big difference maker. Even if you feel like, okay, Brogdon might be the better career passer, White had the better passing season. I mean, Brogdon averages 2 or 3 more assists per game as a whole for his career than Derrick White. Derrick White's not that high. But at the same time, Derrick White is going to get a big opportunity to be a distributor this year, at least a little bit.
That's what I was going to say.
So we're going to see. And we're probably going to see a less scoring-driven Brogdon too. I think you're going to see a little bit more because Smart is now gone, where they both have a bit more playmaking responsibility. So we going to see.
I was going to say Derrick White's always had to play next to a guy who was expected to be the primary facilitator. Like it was Smart last year, and then in San Antonio, he played next to DeJounte Murray, who averaged 10 assists a game.
Yeah.
So there's that. All right, dribbling is the next one. Now,
you go ahead.
This is a tough one as well. I think it's really close. I feel like the playoffs leaves a stain in your mind for Malcolm Brogdon dribbling the ball. I don't know. This is really close. It's another really good one. It's another close. They're both very close players in terms of how good they are, but at least on offense.
I think dribbling wise, it might go to Brogdon. I feel like I've seen Brogdon squeeze into more tight spaces on the drive and get to the basket really well. Even though they're not going in, I know I mentioned it. I just feel like he's pretty good at that. He's pretty reliable to get inside to the basket while not losing the ball, even though in the playoffs you might not remember it that way.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give it to you. It's close, like I said. Leadership.
2-2. Leadership.
I think it's another tough one. And if you think differently, let me know. I would probably lean Brogdon, not because I don't think Derrick White is a good leader, but he just seems a lot quieter. Like Derrick White doesn't seem like he'd hype everybody up. Brogdon seems like the veteran guy who comes in, uses his experience to help. Derrick White seems like, let me put my head down, do my job, be a good teammate. Whereas Brogdon is probably like helping the young guys a little bit more with his experience. He comes in as a leader. But I don't want this to sound like I don't think Derrick White wouldn't be a good leader or isn't. I just feel like Brogdon's experience in the league might help him a little more.
So I think my measuring stick for this one, isn't Brogdon involved with the Players Association?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go with that.
Yeah.
That'll be the driving force there. He's active on and off the court.
Next one is locker room, which I feel like is somewhat similar.
It's the same thing
to leadership. I wonder if it is less like Blake Griffin. Is that leadership or is that being a good locker room presence? I think you know what I'm saying. I think there's a difference. So would you go locker room to Brogdon as well, or would you do Derrick White?
I would not, even though I think it's the same thing.
I agree. I was going to say the same.
Brogdon was stirring up issues at the end of the year with the defense on 3 when Missoula said team on 3, or whatever the hell he said from the Athletic tell-all at the end of the season. It appeared that Brogdon was butting heads with Missoula, and I don't think that is a good locker room thing, even though technically the locker room doesn't always involve the coach when you think of it like that. But you don't really feel like Derrick White is a guy that's going to cause any issues at all.
That's what I was going to say.
In that respect, he's a winner.
That's what I was going to say. I think the leadership would go to Brogdon because of his experience in the Players Association and all that stuff. But I think locker room would go to Derrick White in the sense that he just seems like he gets along with everybody.
So. Look at us. We found a way to differentiate leadership and locker room presence. After we both were like, yeah, it's the same thing.
All right, we got a few potentially easy ones. Defensive tenacity.
Yeah, the defensive player, I'd say.
I agree. Hustle. I'd
Probably also Derrick White.
I'd probably also go the all defense player. Competitiveness. I would.
They're both
probably,
like kind of quiet.
They are. My thing is, whenever I think of competitiveness, I think of how hard they try in the defensive end because that's where it's like the most thing, like the biggest differentiating thing. I also feel like we saw Derrick White get hyped up more than we saw Brogdon get hyped up last year.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's more instances of him like getting a bucket and like screaming at the crowd or like yelling at people than I feel like Brogdon was just always monotone. I don't know.
Fine. I'm fine with it. Yeah.
All right.
I don't have a strong stance on that one.
Toughness.
I
don't know.
Brogdon played through a forearm injury.
But Derrick White played every game.
He did play every game.
It's tough.
I think the every game thing, I kind of forgot about it. I think that's the winner.
I agree. Basketball IQ. It's another tough one. I feel like it's very close.
These are literally the categories I hate, and we're doing all of them.
It's all subjective. That's the whole point. There's no stats.
Even though I'm an eye test guy, but these aren't even like eye test categories for the most part. Like off ball movement, yes. Shot creation, yes. But as we get down this list, it's like personality stuff. It's like, I don't know these guys.
The literal only differentiating factor I'm thinking of for basketball IQ is Brogdon date throw the lobs.
Sure. Go for it.
So I lean Derrick
I don't
White
have a strong opinion.
In the end, out of the 11 categories, we ended 8-3 Derrick White. 8-3 Derrick White. But a lot of them could go either way. So that this is like an 8-3 in the sense that the round one of the Celtics Nets was a sweep. It was a close sweep. It's close 8-3, but it's an 8-3 nonetheless. So that's what we ended up with. Let us know if you want to do it again. We can do it with Hauser versus Svi Mykhailiuk again. I just didn't want to do it as much because I didn't really watch Svi Mykhailiuk last year, so I didn't know as much. So we'll start there. But the next thing we have, speaking of Derrick White was very excited online today. Colorado beat TCU. Sam, I know you're a big college football fan, correct?
I'm watching the games today, yes.
Did you see the clip of Derrick White on Twitter?
I sure did. I retweeted it.
Yes.
Before you.
All right.
I was first.
Didn't know it was a competition.
Big Derrick Colorado, White fan. It took you a while.
Colorado, I wasn't home. Colorado beat TCU, who was in the
they were ranked.
Yeah, and they were ranked, and they were in. White was on Twitter, or pictured on Twitter, getting very excited, as you see on the screen here, about Colorado winning. I believe he tweeted best player in the country. I don't know if he was referring to the quarterback or Tyson Hunter. Is that his name?
They had some crazy performances today. That was a crazy game. Back and forth the entire time. Deion Sanders coaching debut at Colorado, not Colorado State, as I said last time, because I don't really know anything. But exciting game through and through, like back and forth. The fourth quarter was crazy. And just an unreal performance from the quarterback. Don't know who. I think it was Sanders' kid. Could be wrong. I hope I'm not discrediting whoever it actually was.
For what? Wait, what'd you say?
The quarterback. Like, it was a crazy day. Like, almost 400 yards passing.
Shedeur Sanders.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm saying it right.
So the big story with this Colorado team was, of course, Deion Sanders comes in. He's the new coach. Takes a zillion kids. He literally came in and said to pack your suitcases to the kids that were already on the team last year because they're going in the portal because there's no spot for them. He brought in a zillion kids, essentially built a team in free agency. This is like, I don't want to say that I'm trying to think of teams in recent memory that they just like brought in a bunch of guys and it didn't work. Do you have any off the top of your head? Not like that Lakers team when they brought in all the vets. I don't know. Essentially, they've built the team the wrong way.
The Clippers?
Per the consensus amongst diehard college football fans. And then they come out, they compete, and then they beat a nationally ranked team on the road. That's a huge debut for Sanders, the program. So, of course, Derrick White's hyped, even though it looks like he's in a B-dubs. And then they play Nebraska next week, who is also ranked. So you're going to see a home debut for Colorado. Keep your eyes on Derrick White for that one. I hope Deion Sanders wears the cowboy hat. That's my favorite thing.
The big story from the game was Travis Hunter. That was the name I was thinking of. He took, I think, something like 60 snaps on offense and 50 snaps on defense.
He's
He had an
playing 2 ways.
interception.
It
Yeah,
was
he had an
hot.
interception and 100 plus reception yards like that. I mean, that's nuts. That's
Two-way guy.
crazy. That's, you don't see that. That's nuts.
Toughness.
But yeah, Derrick White is very excited. So that was a fun thing to see. Is there any other Celtics stuff that we had
You had
today?
something else here.
I thought I did as well, but I don't know why I don't.
The emails.
Oh yes, we have been getting emails from RJ Johnson, now friend of the
Some
pod.
others.
We appreciate you. Yep, and some other
We got
people.
the message from Matt. We got another
Mhm.
email. So we're gonna
Thank
go
y'all
through
for
it.
the love. Leave us an email. Send us some emails.
Throw us
HBTC pod.
some lifeboats because it is September, and this is exhausting at times.
HBTCpod@gmail.com. We have 3 emails from RJ because it's a weekend and we haven't recorded in a couple days. We're not going to read in depth every single one, but we're going to highlight the players that he said, check out. This is your knowledge of the Dark Ages. The first one is D Brown. He said, thank you for reading my
Who I
efforts
was
in
aware
keeping
of.
crappy. Yes. Thank you for reading my efforts in keeping crappy trade speculation off your pod. We try our best, but we're not perfect. Basically he said, D Brown, after McHale retired at the end of the 92-93 season, Reggie Lewis passed away. Celtics went 32-50 with the pretty rough lineup. Brown, 6'1" combo guard, won the 91 dunk contest over the likes of Sean Kemp, Kenny Smith, and Rex Chapman. Again, some people who we know now, but are in different roles in life, Kenny Smith and Rex Chapman. In 93-94, he's the longest tenured, quote-unquote, homegrown Celtics at 4 years of service. And why D Brown? He was a great example of a Celtics player who came onto Celtics with Bird, Mikhail Parrish, who absorbed their commitment to playing to the utmost, even during a season when they weren't great. So, Sam, did you know about D Brown?
Sure did. The blindfold dunk, and also much like RJ said, he was like kind of the young guy at the end of the Big Three era. So you'll see him in like old games, like the game where Bird smashes his face against the Pacers. I believe he's a part of that.
Yeah.
He's in the NBA Jam game, the original one.
Speaking of your no-look dunk, Sam, this is we got the clip.
I'd like to do any dunk.
No look. RJ linked it with us, so you guys are on the same page.
He linked it? Oh,
he did.
Nice.
Thank you, RJ. Trivia. What trade did D depart the Celtics in? He gave us a trivia. I'm turning into.
I like this.
Sam. Yeah. This is your question.
Oh, I'm mad because I'm aware. So I'm aware that D Brown also played for the Raptors. I'm not sure what other teams he played for, and I don't know what trade that would have been. Let's see. Did he really stick around until the Chauncey Billups trade? I don't think so. Right? There's no way. Let me know. Let me know what trade. Or do you,
the Chauncey Billups trade. It was the Chauncey trade.
Okay.
Yeah. I departed in the Chauncey Billups trade. That was the trivia.
I just didn't think it.
RJ.
I didn't think it took that long. I thought he was gone way before that. Like they would have picked.
Yep.
So let me get this straight. I was talking about Rick Pitino today. Rat. Rick Pitino had D Brown on the team, drafted Chauncey Billups, and then traded both of them.
Yes.
Isn't the idea to pick one? That's like if the Celtics were like, we're going to trade both Malcolm Brogdon and Marcus Smart.
Yeah, pretty much. They said, nope, get them both out of here. See you later, everybody.
Tito's the worst, man.
Yeah, Chauncey Billups, D Brown, and Roy Rogers, and John Thomas for Kenny Anderson, Papa Jones, and
Kenny Anderson was a key
Topic.
piece to some successful teams. He was a good Celtic.
There we go. All right. Well, next player that we have from RJ 94-95 season, he said, in honor of the Svi Mykhailiuk signing, let's take a look at the Celtics' first major Euro player signee, Dino Raja. Or is it Dino or Dino Raja? Dino Raja. I said it right. Dino Raja. With the fall of communism in the early 90s, NBA fell in love with tall ballers from Europe. Before the Bulls drafted Kukoc, the Celtics now have the rights to Dino Raja in the 89 draft. Waited 3 years as his Croatian team would not yield his contract rights, even though he wanted to play immediately. So instead of learning from the big three in their waning days as a 22-year-old, Dino came on board as a 26-year-old European vet. He was a pro, however, putting up solid numbers in NBA career. In his 4-year NBA career, 16.7, 8.4, 1.3 blocks. Ran the floor well, had a nice assortment of moves from 15 feet in. While Dino won championships in Europe, his only taste of NBA postseason was with 1995 when the 35 and 47 Celtics faced Shaq, Hardaway, and the Magic, losing
They
3
won a
games to
game.
1.
They won a
They
road
did win
game.
one. They did win one. Similar players from the tab on Basketball Reference: Nene and Jeff Green and Purvis Ellison, Celtics. There we go. Anything else here? Rajon
Kind of
wasn't the biggest dish guy.
surprising
Easy
that he
finds.
only lasted 4 years. He get hurt.
Yeah. Trade trivia here. Let me read this so I can form it into a question for you. Let's see. Raj's NBA career ended when the Celtics bought out his contract after a trade to this team fell through because of his knee. What team? That's the best way I could phrase it for a question for you. Rival.
Philly?
Yep. Trade to the Sixers fell through because of Raj's knee. In 2005, Raja talked about his exit from Boston. I went to Patino and asked him if I fit into his plans. With a new coach, I obviously wanted to know what he thought of my game. Love playing for Boston. Just wanted to find out if there was any possibility I might be traded because I had heard some rumors. Patino looked me right in the eyes and said, Dino, don't worry. You're going to be a big part of our offense. When we run a set play, the ball is going
He is a rat.
Go through you. I left the meeting feeling great. 5 days later, I found that I was being traded to Philly. I can't tell you how betrayed I felt. Either Patino lied or something changed in a matter of a few days. Although I'm getting ahead of myself, the dark days of the Rick Tater are a couple years off still. Thank you, RJ. RJ. And then he finished it off with one last note. Raja did have a Hall of Fame worthy career worldwide as he was inducted into Springfield as a part of 2018 class. Thank you, RJ. Last player from RJ for today, 95-96 spotlight. David Wesley. First, wait, did you know you knew about Dino Raja, obviously, right?
Correct.
Did you know about David Wesley?
Did not.
All right, well, here we go.
We're not getting Rick Fox, RJ. We'd like to hear more about Rick Fox's Celtic career.
Well, we're learning from RJ today about David Wesley. In year one of the ML Carr coaching experience, let's look at a player who came into the league as an undrafted free agent and went on to have a 14-year career, David Wesley. This is the 95-96 spotlight. Wesley was a 6-foot combo guard out of Baylor who spent his rookie season the year before with the New Jersey Nets. They let him go, and he signed with Boston before the start of the 94 campaign. He played well enough to move into the starting lineup for 36 games after Sherman Douglas was traded to the Bucks. In the 95 season, he had the most starts, 53, of the Celtics 4-guard rotation that included D. Brown, Greg Minor, and Dana Barros. Side note, all 4 of them averaged 22 to 29 minutes per game. If you were to compare him to a current Celtic, he's the closest to Peyton Pritchard, small, quick, muscular, and his game is not dissimilar either. He can drive and score, shoot from all over, and facilitate on offense. His numbers to this year were very respectable: 12.3 points, 4.8 assists, 3.2 rebounds, and 25.7 minutes a night. In 96-97, he would play over 40 minutes a night in 74 games. Yeah, wow, that's crazy. Why Wesley? He was yes. The bulk of his 14-year career was spent with the Hornets in Charlotte and New Orleans, continuing to be a quality combo guard. Why Wesley? He was a good player, not a star, who the Celtics did little with either on the court or getting returned in trade. Wesley went to Charlotte as a free agent, and so the C's got nothing. If you look through their roster beyond the guys I'm highlighting, you'll see a raft of players who fit his description. It was like the Celtics had plenty of puzzle pieces, but didn't know how to fit them together. Similar players, according to People Ref: Damon Stoudemire, Lou Will, Reggie Theus, although he was about a half a foot taller. Video of David, bonus, Mike Gorman, and Tommy on the call, so you know we're going to be watching this.
Oh, Tommy.
RIP. Did you know? So you did not know David Wesley?
Not aware, no.
Now that he said he played the bulk of his career for the Hornets, I do think I remember this player. No, sorry. I'm thinking of David West, who also played for the Hornets, right? Am I crazy?
It's a very obscure.
Yes, he did.
But he David played West until did.
2018.
2020?
David
he
West
was on the
played
DeMarcus Cousins Warriors.
2018, but yes, DeMarcus Cousins Warriors. But here we do have a little clip of David Wesley. Again, quality, as you can imagine, probably not very good. And hopefully we don't get clapped for footage this old. But we're not going to listen to the call because just in case you do. But he can shoot a little bit, just in case we get clapped. That's all we're watching.
Jack quickly went from, this is exciting, Mike and Tommy are on the call, to wait.
Yeah, to realizing I don't feel like putting the screen over a 1 hour podcast.
Well, if you only do 7 seconds, I'm pretty sure you're allowed to use it.
That's fine then. Anyways, all right, that's what we had from RJ. And the second email we had, which is much quicker, we're not going in depth, was from Philip Hart, who I always see in the comments. Thank you, Philip, for tuning in. And he asked, or he said, "Hey guys, great pod. You guys started young, work hard, have a good dynamic. Please keep the faith and keep the pod going. Great things will come. Unless Sam leaves me, then we're not stopping the pod anytime soon."
The hell else am I going to do?
That's not what I said. Question: in the new CBA, once you're above the second apron, one penalty is that your first round picks gets moved to the end of the round. But if more than one team is above, they can't all pick last. Any idea how this works? How do you see it affecting the Celtics? Why I think it matters? If it works like a queue where it's whoever's first is that, blah, 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 that could be a problem. People might want to break the thing, the second apron first. Maybe there's even more to it or enough writing about. In any case, thank you guys. Philip, I looked into the CBA for you. It's on, actually, in case you're wondering, it's on page 220 of the CBA. So I did dive in.
You cannot say that we don't care about the listeners. I mean, listen, I know Jack hit Control F and then typed in like draft picks, but
Yes.
At the same time, like he looked. I've written about the CBA a couple times, like not in depth, but like how it affects Celtics. I wrote about draft picks on Celtics blog last week, and I didn't know this. So it's actually an excellent question, and Jackson tell you the answer.
So the way it works, as explained by the CBA, at that point, it just goes in order of record. So if the Celtics and Suns both break the second apron and their draft picks move to the end of the first round, if the Suns had a better record than the Celtics would pick first because they had the worst record. Basically, it just, that pool of teams who break the second apron, they just go into the ordering of their own, just like the rest of the draft, but at the end of the first round. So, yeah, it's just whoever has the worst record picks before the other teams who broke the rule.
Imagine being a second apron team and then your star gets hurt. So you essentially waste I mean, listen, you never want your best players to get hurt, but at the same time, like, it does give you an advantage if you get a good pick.
Yeah.
Like, look at the Tim Duncan pick.
David Robinson.
Like, David Robinson gets hurt, they get Tim Duncan. Imagine if they were violating the second apron and they missed out on Tim Duncan. Could have been great for the Celtics. Oh, I'd be heated.
Wouldn't be great. But yeah, just goes in order of record at that point. Worst record first, best record last. All right. I think that wraps up all the Celtic stuff we had. Let's move on to the NBA.
What do we have on the NBA? Do we have anything good? We might want to like just dump some of this.
It'll go fast. There's not much, but there's not
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
We have a decent amount, but they'll go quick.
To really go in. Okay, we'll go.
We'll go quick. Checking in with the FIBA World Cup as we have been. I know Sam loves the FIBA World Cup. He definitely cares.
I really hate that I don't like this. Well, one, it's in the morning, which I'm sure we're going to talk about later. But two, like, I really can't get into it. I just can't. I don't really like sports a lot unless I have a dog in the race. Like, love basketball, love watching the Celtics. I did get some enjoyment out of the other playoff games last year because I did, like, cover some of the teams, like the Warriors and some others. But I really just can't get into it. I don't care for Team USA. They're just overwhelmingly the favorite. It's not fun. I find myself kind of sneaky rooting for Team Canada, I guess, but I'm not going to watch.
Fair. Fair enough. All right. The catching up on the FIBA World Cup, one of the biggest stories is South Sudan. They've won more than people expected them to, and they actually qualified for the Olympics, which is the biggest thing that you can do in this World Cup. So they qualified for the Olympics.
They could win.
Well, yeah, but like that for the teams that don't have a realistic chance at winning, that their biggest thing is trying to qualify for the Olympics.
Celtics fan of me just comes out.
Yeah, you're an asshole. You're the worst. Luol Deng is the president of the South Sudan team. He has invested his time, resources, money, etc. They're led by Carlick Jones and Wendy Gabriel, and the country has only existed for 12 years. And so this is their first like appearance in a lot of these things. So now they're
rebuild.
Yeah. Qualified for the Olympics, good for them. Other points of talking points, I should say. Jordan Clarkson scored 20 points in under 4 minutes for Philippines, which is like just crazy.
What the hell?
Yeah,
I bet you that highlight tape is crazy, and it's over there too. These games are in what, Manila?
Yeah, some are in Manila, some are in Okinawa though, in Japan. Like they split it between the two.
Okay, well they must have been going nuts. I mean, good for him.
Jordan Clarkson's a celebrity there, man. They love him.
I bet he is.
Well, I was listening to.
They didn't know. Remember when the reporter interviewed
didn't know him.
Hey, do you go to a lot of Jazz games? He's like, yeah.
I love that he
do.
played along with the bit. I was like, yeah, I go to some, I was listening to the Hoop Collective, and Brian Windhorst was like, yeah, if Jordan Clarkson ran for office, he'd win. Like, he'd get in. And apparently the biggest stadium in Manila, they have two things hanging from the rafters signifying events that happened there. One was the thriller in Manila, which was Tyson versus somebody else. I forget. Like, it was a big boxing event that happened there.
No, it was
And
not Tyson. It was Ali. You
sorry,
know what?
yes.
I'm not going
I
to
don't know
make you
boxing.
sound like an idiot because I
Yeah.
actually don't know. But I'm
Yeah,
pretty
well,
sure. I'm pretty sure that was not a Tyson fight.
I think
Continue
you're right. I think it
talking,
was
and I
older.
will-
Yeah, you're right. It was Ali versus Joe Frazier. Excuse us.
Okay,
We
that
don't
was
know
going to be
boxing.
what I said, but I didn't want to sound like a moron.
We don't know. But the point is, the other banner they have is when Kobe Bryant hosted a camp there. They just love Kobe in the Philippines, and so he hosted a
like
camp
they just
there.
they have these banners in the arena. I like that. That's the Taylor Swift banner in Staples.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Exactly. But they love basketball there. The Philippines, they like obsessed with it. We actually have like a decent like second or third most behind US is the Philippines. So if you're listening to the Philippines, thank you.
Hey, how about our boy from
They love it.
Ball?
True. Anything else? Other talking points from the World Cup. Australia is eliminated from the FIBA World Cup already. They're gone.
Sorry, first the
Cannot
floor
advance.
guys. They were actually excited for the World Cup too, which I can get.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. As just like I don't know if you get the same way, but I have more pride in where I'm from in the United States than like actually being from the United States.
Yeah, I like being from Massachusetts rather than being from the US. That's what I feel
like. You want to talk about a competition I get up for is the Little League World Series, which I watch no games of.
Hey, if there's a New England team, I'm all for it. I will watch
it was Rhode Island. Don't worry about it.
There we go. I remember
they got pretty far.
Good for them. Good for them. Australia was eliminated by Luka and Slovenia the other day, so they're out. And then the other thing, Tremont Waters is kind of killing everybody. He put up 37 and 11. He's just murdering people.
Somebody pick him up, man. It sucks for these smaller guys now because nobody,
Mm-hmm.
with the way that defense is played in the NBA and how tight offenses are, you cannot afford to have an Isaiah, a Tremont Waters. Even Peyton Pritchard can't get himself on the floor because he's too small to switch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that sucks for these guys because I mean Tremont Waters can clearly play. When he was on the Celtics, people were being like, "Oh my gosh, he needs to get some more minutes, more opportunity," and he's not even in the league.
Just too small, man.
And
the last thing, yeah. The last thing about FIBA is I don't know how this shit works. Like, I'm trying to Google, like, oh, who's out, is eliminated. They go from one group stage into a second group stage where they regroup the teams. Yeah, it's stupid. I don't get it. Just go into a bracket.
Talk about a money grab.
I don't enjoy it. So I mostly because I don't get how it works. But anyways, moving on. Next thing we have is Andre Drummond. Sam, did you see this?
When I looked at the show sheet, I sure did.
Andre Drummond said he should be a Hall of Fame player. He says, from what I've done in my career, he was on the Comfortable Pod, which they have one video on YouTube, and it's just the Andre Drummond interview. I don't know what this is. He was just on something called the Comfortable Pod. Said, based on what I've done in my career, I think I should be a Hall of Fame player. And he's called himself the greatest rebounder of all time. So that's what we got from Andre Drummond.
I'm trying to think of what he's done.
Nothing. He is. I'll read you his acknowledgments. He's a
two-time
All-Star.
You should have just left it there. I don't want to hear stats. Move on.
2-time All-Star, 4-time rebound champ, 2015-16 All-NBA.
Heavily rumored Celtic at one point.
Yeah, NBA all-time.
Speaking of rumored Celtics,
I want to see.
I don't care about Andre Drummond.
I'm curious. Hey, are you the Sun? Because we don't revolve around you. Give me a fucking second. Let me look at this shithead.
This better be good. I'm gonna give you shit about it if it sucks.
It's not. I just want to see where he ranks in total rebounds. I just want to see how crazy he got up. I literally just wanted 2 seconds to type Control F, look for Drummond, and see where he ranks. Which, spoiler, it's not very high. But I wanted to look to see if he had a case, and he doesn't. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead. Lead the next thing.
Speaking of heavily rumored Celtics, Harry Giles. Member of the Nets now. Jack put on the show sheet, Jason Tatum seething. I actually like that. Good point. But he was definitely connected to the Celtics, probably more than any other team, just because of his friendship with Jason Tatum. You put on here, it's probably a good landing spot for him. I would have to agree. It feels like the Nets are a team with a ton of opportunity. They're in this weird spot where they could be competitive and they could also suck. So we're going to see how much run he actually gets.
And they don't really have a backup center, I think, behind Nick Claxton. They don't have a set backup center. They have Day'Ron Sharp, who's like fine. He's a younger player, so he'll probably get some run. But past that, like there should be actual opportunities for him to earn minutes on that team at the big man spot. They have Trendon Watford too and Darius Baisley, but both are on non-guaranteed contracts. So I don't know. Good for Harry Giles. He seems like he was ready to get back into the league. All right, next NBA thing. Again, another quick one. The Kings have signed JaVale McGee, and I put on the sheet, why?
Yeah, don't care. But I think there was somebody in our comments like saying for the Celtics to sign him. If not,
Again,
there was some guy in the Hardwood.
There wasn't our
chat.
comments. No, it was our comments. Yeah,
might have been the same because like there were people that why don't they sign JaVale McGee? It's like I thought this Kings thing was reported like way back like last week.
As soon as it came out that like the Mavericks could waive him, they were like, "Oh, the Kings could be interested." And I wasn't sure why either, and I still think it's stupid. But I was listening to Keith Smith and Trevor Lane on the front office pod, and they were like, "He probably has a relationship with Mike Brown," which does make sense. They were on the Warriors together, so if there was a reason, that's probably it. But again, like, why? It just doesn't seem like it should be important. The next thing we have is the Lakers want Trae Young? Question mark. This is stupid, but I saw
the Lakers want everybody. Welcome
literally
to Twitter. Welcome to NBA rumors. But go on.
Welcome to Jovan Buha's report from The Athletic. The Lakers have pursued other star guards, including Lillard, Lowry, and Irving. Even this summer, they were interested in some star guards, including James, who I assume is James Harden, who still had an interest in pursuit. Oh, sorry. Some in the organization, including LeBron, who had an interest in pursuing Kyrie, though the front office ultimately prioritized continuity. Trae Young has been on the Lakers' radar for a while, depending on how the situation unfolds in Atlanta. Then he went on to say, but Reeves is progressing really well. The Lakers want everybody. I
sure do.
It would be a good bet, in my opinion, to say Trae Young to the Lakers at some point in the future.
Maybe when LeBron's gone. I don't think it makes a ton of sense if LeBron's there. Neither one of them can be their best if they're playing off the ball.
That's true.
I sure hope they don't get what they want just because I don't like them. And I don't like when everybody's like, this guy's going to Lakers. I saw a Trae Young jersey Photoshop on Twitter yesterday. And I've seen enough. I mean, when you buy a Lakers jersey, it comes with an Adobe membership. So you can Photoshop and make new jerseys.
That's a good one.
Anything else on that? Any more thoughts?
No, that's all we got.
I don't even think they have if they're getting Trae Young, what the hell are they giving up? They don't have picks.
D'Angelo Russell. Well, they will if it's not this year, but they in terms of salary, they could get there with like D'Lo and other pieces. And then I mean, in a year from now, they'll have some picks in the future to trade again, which I mean could maybe if you want.
Oh, because like they can start trading. Yeah. Because they've traded every pick.
Yes.
Except for one.
All right. Sam, Reddit
post of the day. We're gonna go quick through this one. Somebody wrote like a novel about 6 players with a surprising skill. I would like to know which NBA player has the most surprising skill. And the example, which is going to ruin this for you, is people before he joined the Celtics would have said Derrick White because he blocks a ton of shots.
Yeah. Okay. That is a great question. Mason Plumlee, as weird as it sounds, he's actually like a pretty good passer. Like Mason Plumlee's a pretty good playmaker. I remember watching Hornets game.
Good pick.
He was I remember because I covered the Hornets briefly a little bit ago. And they hated it, but Point Plumlee was like a thing a little bit.
Oh,
like
I remember this. No, I remember this.
Yeah, and he was pretty good at it on the. I mean, I think that one random year he had in Detroit, he actually averaged a decent amount of assists. Like he played. Where is it? He played 56 games for the Pistons in 2020-2021. He averaged 10.4 points, 9.3 rebounds, and 3.6 assists. Like he's just a pretty good playmaker for a big man. So that's the first one that jumps out to me. You got any?
You ever see that video of Perk dribbling?
No, is he good?
No. It's him. It's him like dribbling down the street. I'm gonna try and find it and send it to you.
So this is not a surprising skill. This is probably a surprisingly bad skill for Perk.
I don't know. He looks like he might cross somebody up.
I don't believe that for a second. I mean,
here it is.
You could probably go with like. I mean, the joke is Jose Alvarado can shoot. Remember that video? Can he shoot? Yes, I can shoot. And him coming down the court. That was a funny one.
Here, I'm gonna put it in the private chat.
Yeah, let's find this video of Perk dribbling. This is like the opposite of your question, though. This is you asked me.
I really didn't have any good answers, but I thought this was a good question. But at the same time, we have a lot of rat list stuff to go, and I don't want to burn too much time on something that's not overly interesting.
Let's see. This is Perk dribbling the ball for those wondering. Yeah, I mean, he's
You can't tell me this is not surprising to you.
Oh man.
The sham god.
Because of my YouTube subscriptions right here, Justin Bean can sing. If you want a surprising
Oh, there you go.
Or Oladipo. He was on The Masked Singer. There you go. Victor Oladipo can
Oladipo
sing.
singing. Anybody that can dunk that you didn't think could dunk?
Sam Hauser.
Sam Hauser when he dunked 3 times. That's a good pick.
Sam Hauser can dunk. Yeah, we'll call it there. I mean, Brook Lopez, probably people were surprised he could shoot when he could shoot. When he just randomly learned how to shoot the ball. All right, let's start the right list. Sam, would you like to kick us off here?
I sure would. Off the top of my head, the Rhode Island Department of Transportation. Rat list. As
Yes.
they have been many a time. Today is Saturday. It is Labor Day weekend. As you can see, my room is lit by natural light, so the sun is out.
Yeah.
They have closed down 2 lanes of 95 South.
Yep.
I was driving home today. Not only did they close 2 lanes of 95 South, they have closed Route 10. Route 10 is the best way to avoid 95 if it's backed up. So I had to take the back roads home. As I was driving on the back roads, I could see literally standstill traffic on 95 South. Why are you closing lanes when the sun is out or on a holiday weekend when people are driving? I think it's time to have somebody get fired at the top.
Yeah.
I've seen enough.
About time. Before I do my actual rat list things, this is like less rat list and more just it's something I can react to on here. It's fun. I'm in a fantasy football league with friends that I've been friends with since high school, right? This is our
Go on.
God, we're old, right? We draft in an hour, but an hour before the draft, we had our draft order get randomly set. So I don't know where I'm picking yet. And so I'm going to look right now and we're going to react just to where I'm picking. This is partially me being selfish and just wanting to know where I'm picking. But I waited for the rat list section so I can react.
You pull that up.
I have
you want to have it on the screen and I will take off the thing.
I don't have to put it on the screen. I can just say it's a 12-person league and I am picking 9th. So
that's kind of a bad pick because you don't get the nice back-to-backs. Like I like the last pick. You're not really picking towards the top. You'll be all right.
Unfortunate. Have you drafted any this year? I know we're in a league together. Have you?
I did my work draft.
Who'd you get? Hit me. I'm just curious.
I don't even remember, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm hoping Travis Kelce falls to me. That's who I want in the first round, but we'll see.
All right.
My real first rat list is fireworks. And you may ask, Jack, it's September 2nd. This isn't 4th of July anymore. Yeah, well, my neighbors still fucking think it's July, and they're setting off fireworks every day. They set off a firework an hour before I started recording. Like, what are we doing? For what?
Fireworks,
Stop.
road work,
The
handshake during the day shouldn't happen.
Agree. Shouldn't happen in general. Fireworks are stupid. I'm sorry. Just in general, fireworks
I'm actually not convinced they actually need to do road work a lot of the time, and they're just making work for people.
Maybe. Possible.
Because they're always just hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
I need to quit my job and just go into construction like that and just not work.
But yeah, out on fireworks. You got any? What's your next? What's your next rat list?
You ever get called sir?
Not often because I.
You know how insulting that is to be called sir when you're like used to being a kid.
Yeah,
I got called sir like back to back, like going into different stores.
Okay.
And I was like, what is going on with people? Like, you can see me. I don't look like an adult man. I don't. I look like I'm ready to graduate high school.
Yeah.
Being called sir is a very awkward thing. Like, you don't really know how to respond to it. I'm like, well, you don't have to call me sir. Just don't call me buddy. I don't really like that.
Buddy is the worst.
It's insulting. Frank once described it as degrading. Frank, by the way, who I think we should have on to do this at one point.
All right, we can have Frank and Danny or somebody. We should
Frank
have
would be excellent for this. Frank had like a long message chain of like this rat list thing he had at work.
Would be perfect. I had to explain to my Nana what the rat list was today because my mom was talking about it. She was like, where do I find your stuff on the internet? And I'm like, yo, it's on YouTube. She goes, YouTube? I said, no, YouTube. And she goes, I know what YouTube is. I said, then why did you say YouTube? Then why did you ask me if it was the band?
My mom's thing, she says, is Y5.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something. But I installed YouTube on my Nana's phone and put it just the center of her home screen. So now whenever she
There you
opens her
go.
phone, it'll just be there. And I subscribed to our channel from her phone, so we got an extra subscriber.
Cheating.
Don't worry about it.
Did you watch the video that we put up today from her phone? Because nobody else did.
But she'll click. I'll routeless myself because I'm terrible at golf, and I was bad. I went out to play golf. We had a tee time at 7:45 in the morning. Also routeless mornings. Hate waking up. Can't do it. But the problem with golfing so early is that the ground is still wet. And so every shot is like a slog in the ground that it messes your shot up. And that's not an excuse. I'm still terrible. Like, it was still my own fault that I was bad. But I know you don't play golf, but like, okay, there's par 4s, par 5s, par 3s. Like,
Correct.
that's how much you should
I'm
shoot.
aware of what par is.
The first hole, I know. First hole was a par 4, and I shot a 9. Right? Not a good start.
Double.
Not a good start at all. Yeah, over double. Bad.
2 times is good.
I try to keep everything 7 and below, and 7 is still a meh hole. 9.
Okay.
Second hole, par 5, 8. Another truly terrible start. Third hole, par 4, 10. Just I got off to probably the worst start of golf I could have ever imagined, and then I still got a 99 on the day. I kept it below 100, which was, shooting a 30 on the first 3 holes, keeping it below 100. I was pretty happy with myself. Yeah, it's just the first hole of the day, just teeing off, hit it into the rough. It maybe went 30 yards, right? Just hit the rough and didn't get out.
Okay.
And it took me 2 more shots to get out of that rough and onto the normal course. It was not the way to start my day. And then I put mornings here as on the rat list as well, because just I had to get up at like 6:30, and then the ground was gross conditions for us to play golf, and I just mornings. Just
See, if you plan ahead, you don't have to do that. Like, if you said we want to golf 3 weeks from now, you probably don't have to do that.
No, we did it because other people had stuff to do in the afternoon. So if we wanted to golf that day, we had to golf in the morning. But
getting up in the morning is great, because then if you get up and then you do all your stuff, you have a bunch of time.
No, out on mornings. Bad.
Exercising in the morning, best thing you can do, because then you're done. And then you can be like, oh, I don't want to do anything today. And then you feel like you didn't actually do anything. This is kind of, it's like a rat list, but it's more of just like a weird story.
Rat list is just turning us into us talking, which I don't care, which is fine. Just talk.
No, it should still have its meaning, but this I just felt like bringing up.
Yeah.
So last week, I received a message that a couple of my friends believed that they were making an investment to become millionaires.
Can we
Which
name
was
drop the
clearly an
friends or no?
exaggeration, but they still thought they were making good investment.
Do I know the friends?
Yeah, it's Ray and Joe, and then their roommate. So Ray on Facebook Marketplace or something had seen this inflatable tent thing that comes with LED lights. And essentially the whole purpose of this is to be a backyard nightclub. And the business model is to rent this out. It costs $300. I invested in it.
You did.
And it also has holes in it. So he has to fix the holes. But I don't know. I forget how much he said you could rent this for. But essentially, we should be able to make like a little bit of money. This is the strangest business proposition.
Is this what it looks like?
Well, ours is white, but I think it's something like that, yes.
Like this.
Yeah. Essentially, it's a tent. It's a tent. I don't know why he tried to present it any other way than being a tent. Because it's a tent. It's just a big tent. Like, you could have events, a barbecue.
Yeah.
Who is renting this for a nightclub?
Where is he putting it?
Well, it's like it's not always inflated. Like
the idea is you rent out it's like a bounce house. Oh, yes, I thought this was
it goes to somebody's. No, you thought Ray is going to inflate this thing at all times and then just have people come over.
That's what I thought was happening.
Ray threw a party last summer, and he lives with 2 roommates, and one of them didn't come.
So is this 2 people?
Well, like, other people came, but like they were like, "Where's Thomas?" And Thomas didn't come, and he lives there.
Wow, that's something special, man.
So we'll see if I make any money at this.
We'll see. Again, not Rallis, just your opinion. I've been so pumpkin spice is back, right? Pumpkin is back. I actually like pumpkin. I think the hype is ratless. The whole marketing scheme or whatever is ratless.
I think hype in general is a ratless for me. I hate hype.
Agree.
It makes me hate things. Go on.
I have been getting it from Starbucks because there's like a Starbucks and a Dunkin' in my town in close enough vicinity where I should just choose what I want to have. Okay. I usually just go Dunkin' because like my family likes Dunkin'. I think Starbucks is better. It's just like for coffee and for food. I just think Starbucks is better than Dunkin'. And I know that's going to make me like a heathen in Massachusetts. But the point I wanted to bring up for the ratless portion is
okay.
Why
finish the point before I
start No, you start talking because I need you to
really
what's happening.
You really made a breakthrough discovery that Starbucks has better quality products than Dunkin'. Dunkin's coffee is water.
This is true.
It's so watery.
Well, I more meant the food.
What discovery do you think you made? You were like,
I more meant the food. I was more talking because like I think Starbucks food is
I
better.
actually like Starbucks' like spinach cheese wrap thing.
Their bacon, egg, and cheese thing is better, I think, than Dunkin's too. But anyways, my point is, and I think I brought this up on a past thing. I just don't like why flavors have to be seasonal, and I get the pumpkin being seasonal, but Dunkin' took away the raspberry watermelon refresher because that's a summer flavor. It's fucking berries. What do you mean it's a summer flavor? It's watermelon. What are we doing? Why are we taking away flavors? But you're gonna have strawberry dragon fruit year round. Don't worry, that's a non seasonal fruit. It's just stupid, and it pisses me off. And there's a difference between pumpkin and pumpkin spice because it's different flavors. I don't know. It's stupid. The whole flavor thing is dumb.
I'll tell you what is. I don't really like getting coffee from either place. I like the local places because I like when the coffee flavor is brewed into it. I don't like the flavor shots. I prefer it just to be flavor. But I will say this. I really don't like going to Starbucks for coffee. Not so much because it's more expensive. I do think it's better coffee. But I think their menu is just based off of having specialty drinks. Like they don't have I can't get a large iced coffee and then put vanilla in it. Well, actually, I can. But let's say blueberry or coconut, unsweetened flavors like that. And it's lame. They don't even have a list of the flavors you can get put in your coffee. They just have, hey, you can get this special brown sugar oat milk latte thing.
That's actually really good,
which is good.
It's really
but then
good.
They have I'm sorry, I don't want my coffee to cost me 500 calories. I'd rather have a donut. I don't like drinking my calories at all.
Still, ratless Sam for counting calories, and I stand by that. The other bad part about Starbucks before you go quickly is I got hit with it's just gonna ask you to press a little button here before you pay.
No, yeah, they do that. I told you about this. When the kid, I know. This was an old rat list where the kid had this big smirk on his face as he handed me the thing for the tip. I hate that stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could probably work at a coffee shop, fast food place where they flip the screen on you like that, and you probably make bank because people feel bad.
That's me. I'm the sucker who feels bad, but
yeah,
whatever. Well, it's me. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Car manufacturers deciding literally everyone needs LED headlights.
LED headlights are ratless themselves too.
They are. You know why? Because I always think it's a cop.
And I'm fucking blinded. I can't see as it is.
That too. Some guy today was driving behind me with LED headlights.
Mm-hmm.
The sun is out.
Yeah, out on that. People who use their headlights when the sun is out in general, what are you doing? You can.
Well, I think sometimes you can't control it. I think some cars are automatic, your lights just turn on when your car turns on.
That's dumb.
Is it?
I think so.
That way, there's no I'm gonna leave my lights on accident. They just go on when your car turns on.
Solution: just don't be dumb. Just turn them off yourself. Just don't be an idiot and know when to turn.
You've never fallen victim to the lights on?
No, because my car, when I turn it off and if my lights are still on, it beeps at me.
Okay.
So there's a mechanism.
So it's not don't be dumb. It's have a car that reminds you to turn your lights off.
Sure. I think the LED lights are the worst. You know what? No, it's even worse than that. Blue lights. When your lights are like blue and like the brightest things on the fucking planet.
Wrong. Because I don't think you're a cop.
If they're blue, you do.
Not if they're blue headlights.
If
Cops
I
have
take
just
a
really
quick
bright headlights.
Well, yeah, I learned, but if I'm taking a quick glance in my mirror and I see blue LEDs quickly, I'm like, I freak out for half a second. I'm like, wait, what?
I'm like, oh, that guy's in the white trash Avengers.
I saw somebody
That's what
with,
I say.
Yeah, I saw somebody with red headlights once too, like red LEDs.
Super cool.
Yeah, just massive.
I love the car people.
Yeah, truck people are even better.
The old cars. Sorry,
trucks are even better. There was a whole. I remember we called them the truck kids at my high school. They would hang out in the
truck
parking lot in their
kids.
trucks.
I like that.
You know exactly what I'm talking about too.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
We had the Jug Squad. The Jug Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell this story before?
Maybe, I think so, but tell
the Jug Squad. So, my junior year of high school, the high school was across the street from a gas station, and the gas station had a thing where you could just like fill up whatever container with soda for $1. So they had jugs, like literally, like probably gallon jugs that they would come in with, fill with, and there was like 6 of them.
Let me guess. Can I guess? It was there Mountain Dew in the jugs often?
No, they weren't clear. Like they were like gas station bought like 64-ounce like massive, maybe 128-ounce containers for soda. 7 in the morning, the freshmen, they'd roll in Jug Squad.
It's something, man. And they were probably, it's what's the word? The same people as the truck people. They were probably one and the same.
Maybe before they become truck people, they're the Jug Squad.
Yeah. Anyways, that's all I got for Ralph. You got anything else before we get on?
That's it. I don't need to unload the clip today.
We'll save it for later. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in to How About Them Celtics. We appreciate you guys for listening. We've been putting out the pods, and we came in today not thinking we had stuff, and we went for an hour and 20 minutes. So
sure did.
Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Check us out on Apple and Spotify. Leave us 5 stars. Subscribe to How About Them Celtics on YouTube. We're almost at 1250. You know, maybe we'll make smaller goals.
Are we?
We're like 10 away.
Okay.
We're closer to 1250 than 1200.
Correct. Okay. I was like, did we hit 0.24 yet?
No, I think we're like 2 away from
2.24.
0.24. Yeah. We are at 1,238 subscribers.
Nice.
Help us to get
a lot.
1,250. And leave a comment. That's my favorite part. Email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com, or leave a comment. DM us on Twitter. Anything. Give us content, please. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
just please help us.
Thank you. We tried to make content like from scratch, and no one cared.
Clearly. But Sam, get us out of here. Keep begging the people for content.
Thank you very much for listening or watching. If you're watching, you're on the YouTube page, whether it's ours or CLNS's or CLNS's other one. Make sure you subscribe. If you're on ours, hit the notification bell because we are putting up those daily uploads. We're putting up breakers. If any news happens, we hit you with the Svi Mykhailiuk news last week. You can find us on Spotify and Apple. You can follow us there. Leave a nice 5-star review. You can follow us on
Playback
TV.
Yes.
And we have a little blue check mark there. And we'll do something with that sometime. Social media, How About Them C's. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook is just the name of the podcast. You can follow Jack at JacksMonNBA. You can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us. I'm going to go eat.
Tic-taco. Come on. Taco.